Well, hello, and welcome here, or welcome back. Well, as you can see, I made it. I'm back in New Brunswick. It's -20 outside, but it used to be a lot warmer out. And the time when it was a lot warmer out was back in August of 2025, when I rode about 6,500 kilometers from Moncton, New Brunswick out to Chilliwack, British Columbia on a 1998 Yamaha V-Star 650 over the course of 8.5 days. Yeah, I hope that one of the big takeaways from this video, this is something that you can do, you know? It didn't take a whole lot of skill to be able to do this. It took planning, but like, not that much. You know, it's just kind of, I went out and did it.
All right, Sunday morning. I left on Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, and today's gonna be the last day. This is where I slept last night. It was sick. Let's see what trail looks like these days.
You know, and I get that it takes, I don't know, $2,500 maybe, something, to do a trip like this and a couple of weeks off. That's not everybody can do that, but a lot of people can. And I really hope that if it's something that you're into and that you want to do it, I really hope that you get to go out and do it, because it's just such an awesome time. Oh, it was really beautiful. And it doesn't have to be across Canada. You know, that's silly. You can just do whatever's close to you. But I really hope that's the big idea here, is you can just get a hammock and just go do things. It's sick. So about this ride. So I left BC in early 2021, and now what you're watching is August of 2025. So it had been a little while since I'd been back to BC, missing out on family and friends and all the things that are involved with not being at home. But so it was really emotional to get back to BC, especially on the morning of this last day, and as I got further and further towards being back in Chilowwak. Now, I don't want to get like overly poetic about what this has all come to and, you know, the meaning of it all. But I think it is valid to say that during my time crossing the country, it really felt like the end of it was a longer way away. You know, like it was just riding, and then I was gonna get to where I was going, but I didn't really feel like, I mean, part of me like didn't expect to actually make it, right? Like I kind of thought that the motorcycle might break down, and then I would just end up spending the week wherever I broke down and then fly home. So in a way, it was almost kind of surprising to actually make it to BC. But this entire day, like the idea of getting back into my hometown and seeing people again, and will anybody actually want to see me? Because maybe they wouldn't, you know? Just showing up again? Who knows? There's no way to know, right? I've been out of town for a long time. And partially internally, I still wasn't even decided if I wanted to just get into Chilowwak and stay there. I kind of wanted to do the full coast to coast with the motorcycle, you know? I wanted to go the full way, probably up to Swassen Mills, but I could have gone also out to the other ferry terminal. That way I would have made it, right? But I couldn't decide. It seemed like I was going to run out of time, that I'd have to settle for just going out to Swassen, like with a car or something, which I did. I did actually end up going out there with a car instead of the motorcycle. But thinking of getting closer and closer to my hometown, this shot here is Christina Lake. And I've been to Christina Lake with my wife. You know, like I ate pizza next to this lake. And it's kind of getting into the personal memories here as I'm heading back into Chilowwak. This is Grand Forks. I love Grand Forks. I would have moved here if I could have afforded a house here. But, you know, like every other small British Columbian town, it's super overpriced. And look at this bridge. My wife and I just about took a stray cat that we found on this bridge because we love cats. And, you know, just to have like all these memories coming back to me as I was going along, it was just a really special time to come towards the end of this. The Grand Forks, just for a local recommendation, has the Jitter Bean Cafe in it, or at least it did 5.5 years ago. Which was excellent. It's the only coffee that my wife ever really enjoyed. So there you go. you know, if you're passing through southern British Columbia for some reason, there's a recommendation for you. And I was told by a local that Grand Forks is inside of the only canyon that runs east to west, so therefore, despite the high mountains around it, it actually gets the most sunlight, you know, compared to a lot of towns in similar situations. That might be true, that might not be true. I'm not going to look it up, but I will participate in spreading misinformation that a local told me. And then in between Grand Forks and Osoyoos, there's really not a whole lot. Well, what there is just endless windy roads, which, you know, if you're inside of a car and you have my wife with you, I hope that you don't, but if you were to abduct my wife and then drive through southern BC, I guess, this would not be the place to do it, because my wife gets terribly motion sick, and there's a lot of places where she's had some trouble, but I think in particular the area between Osoyoos and Grand Forks just really does not agree very well. So be ready for that if that's what you're on about. And then this here. All right. Coming down both sides of the Okanagan. This is obviously from the Grand Forks side coming down into Osoyoos. This is like one of the most beautiful spots that you can drive a car, because this highway, it's just a never-ending downhill as it slinks its way down and down and down further in the Okanagan Valley. And the Okanagan Valley, if you haven't been here, absolutely wonderful. It's the place I would recommend most out of any place in British Columbia. You know, I would skip going lots of places in favor of going to the Okanagan Valley. Check out Penticton. Penticton rules. Grand Falls rules. Kelowna, it's pretty good. I like Kelowna. I wouldn't say that it rules though. Man, there's just so many great places in the Okanagan. Absolutely love it. Oh yeah, my wife says Vernon. Vernon rules. Now, let me tell you, this is another thing you cannot tell from this shot, but it's like standing on the sun. I mean, this is what Osoyoos is known for. It's the place where people go to be in the sun and to be hot, because I'm pretty sure it's actually the hottest place in BC. But yeah, it was the hottest place underneath my jacket crossing that valley, let me tell you. And then coming up the other side of this valley, my goodness, again, you know, you just come down the one side and then immediately got to go up the other and re-see all those views. It's just absolute 10 out of 10 coming up into the Okanagan. And now this is just like, hey, you're at home, maybe. You're probably watching this on your phone, actually. But if you were to open up maps and go on a satellite view and just look at the Okanagan Valley, what you're going to see is that in the middle, you got this massive blue lake, which is absolutely lovely. And then it's all tan all around it, because this is Canada's only desert. And then just on the other side of the valley from the Okanagan is all lush. So I'm going along, right? And it's smoking hot. And then look at this guy. I guess, yeah, I don't know what you would do to get you in that position, but I can tell you that he sure held up a lot of traffic. And this is probably like, this right here is like one of my favorite shots of the whole trip. Just the never-ending line of cars baking in the sun, because that's how I felt. I stood here for like 50 minutes just baking in the sun. Oh my goodness. You know, it gets to the point where like you just want to get to where you're going. You know, it's hot. Please just let me get back into Chilowwak. This is Headley. Headley sucks. I've stayed here. It sucks. Yeah. But it's in a beautiful spot. I'm sorry to the 200 people who live in Headley. I'll tell you a town that doesn't suck, though. A town that certified doesn't suck. A town that actually is certified rules. Princeton. I love Princeton. I love Thomasina's Cafe. I was so stoked to try to make it here before it closed, and I made it with like half an hour to spare. Thomasina's Cafe, best cafe I've ever been in. Getting out of Princeton, you get all these like switchbacks. You get all these spots where like the highway like dips right down and then curves and then goes back up the other side. Now you don't want to be behind an RV during this kind of stuff, because you're going to be going like 40 the whole way, because they're going to burn out their brakes and crash in the mountain if they go any faster. But if you can, like, if you're not close to anybody, you can just rail these corners. It is the absolute best. And this is entirely by coincidence. No, talk about getting lucky. So this is a Sunday, right? Heading from the Okanagan back towards Vancouver area. And on a Sunday, usually, this would just be absolute non-stop RVs. I hate it. It's the worst. You never want to leave the Okanagan on a Sunday afternoon. But this was a long weekend. This was BC Day. So despite being Sunday, the highway was wide open. And I got to cruise at a good speed. Look at this Yahoo. Parts hanging off his RV. Dude, get that fixed. You're going to kill somebody. But really, though, this is coming up on Hope now. These are the mountains that I've just seen goodness knows how many times, because I've been to the Okanagan so many times. I've been up to Hope so many times. This is like back of my hand kind of territory. And coming in here, like, the emotions were just hitting so much harder because it was just so obvious that I was almost there. And then this little stretch of highway here, you know, the highway, it kind of bends to the left, it goes around a corner, bends to the right, and then before you know it, you're at the Pressed Road exit. And just look at this. You know, you've been driving along, mountains, and then boom, you're in the Fraser Valley, bro. And it's like 10 out of 10. This is the best part of Canada. I'm gonna go on the record as saying it. This is the best part of Canada, except for maybe New Brunswick, because I love New Brunswick. But look at this. My goodness. Even if you didn't have any emotional baggage, you'd be crying right now. This is just fantastic. What a beautiful day. I showed up at just the right time. Oh my goodness. So, you know, I got back into town. I went to the place where my in-laws used to live. I went to the place where I used to live. And driving around in Chilowwak again, you know, I lived here until I was 27. So, like, I know every street in this place. And having now lived in a different place, it's so nice to just be able to drive around and know where I'm going. Absolutely sick. And so, you know, here's a little bit of, you know, kind of what I got up to, right? I don't want to share like a whole bunch of personal stuff about my family. That's not quite fair to them. But here's a little bit of what I got up to. But really, here is the thing, is that I did see quite a few people when I got back to BC. I stopped in a lot of stores that I obviously hadn't stopped in forever. And people recognized me and were happy to see me. I saw my friends who were happy to see me. It was great. And take a look at this, you know. The motorcycle was already gone by the time I got out to White Rock. I sold the motorcycle as soon as I got to BC. That went perfect. And then I ended up getting to go out to White Rock with my grandmother, which is awesome. So there it is, the Pacific Ocean. I don't care if you call it the Gulf Island Strait or something like that. It's the Pacific because it's water from the Pacific. The camera's running.
Oh.
So you have your little, you see that for the level?
Oh, okay.
On the screen?
Yep.
So just hold it to the side of that screen.
So it's kind of levelish?
Yeah, so it's kind of levelish. I'll have a shot of myself.
So we're videoing, are we, young man? Is that what we're doing?
We're videoing.
Okay.
Quick story about Porter Airlines. You know, you never get to hear a positive story about airlines. But my first flight was late leaving. Got into Toronto. Got into Toronto. And then because the flight was late getting there, my connector flight to Ottawa left without me. So I got off the plane in Toronto, and then I get to the front desk there, and they already had my hotel ticket and 2 meal tickets just printed off for me. So they hand me my hotel ticket, my 2 meal allowance tickets. They say, go catch the bus, it'll take you to a hotel. It's all paid for. Tomorrow morning, get on the bus, come to the airport, it's all good. And then here's your connecting flight. Super easy. So way to go, 10 out of 10 Porter Airlines for making it happen. Absolutely sick. Really positive experience. Really great to be back in New Brunswick. BC is sick. Thanks for watching. I'll probably put out a video of like the stuff that I brought along with me. The TU250 is going to get out again. The big Concours is going to get out. I'm probably going to do a Newfoundland trip, hopefully in the spring. There's a submarine on Gas Bay. Probably like go get to see a submarine in June. which feels so... Can you see all the snow blowing in my face? June feels a long way away. Go out and do something that you enjoy doing.